I'd like to talk about Kickstarter Momentum and basically how important it is to get a lot of backers out of the gate. Kickstarter is an interesting platform in that you'll often see people wanting to join a successful project more so than helping an unsuccessful one. And I'm not sure exactly what the psychology behind this behavior is. Perhaps it's you want to sort of jump on the winning ship. You want to be part of something cool that's actually going to happen. And certainly I think some people take pride in that. All their projects they backed succeeded. Certainly I've backed a lot of failures. I thought an idea was cool, knew it wasn't going to succeed. Just want to be supportive and get the emails. But obviously, there's been a lot of really cool projects that have succeeded on Kickstarter that I've backed. But the interesting thing is basically your success is really determined by your projection based on how much early momentum you get. So, for example, if you don't get a big start out of the gate, then it can be really damaging to your campaign in general, because people look at how much time has elapsed and how you've done, and if they don't really feel like those two numbers fit together, then they'll say, "Oh, this campaign won't happen," and then they'll probably not back it. And so that's it's a tricky thing for a project creator. It can be really great if you have a really well executed launch of a project. Then it can mean that you're all set and you can achieve a lot of stretch goals. But if you struggle at the launch, then it can be difficult to sort of reach that tipping point where people know the project is going to succeed, so they feel comfortable, backing it. They know the game's going to happen, so they want to put their money in. And so you'll see that a lot of project creators try to basically front load. Try to encourage backers at the very beginning with early bird tiers. And early bird tiers, I think, are a really great thing for both project creators and backers. Now, backers, the early backers get rewarded with basically more for less. And the project creators get rewarded with increased momentum. And so one of the challenges is trying to figure out what a good size for an early bird tier is. And I think if you knew how many backers you were going to get, if you knew how big your project could be, then it's easy to come up with that number. But the problem is, well, I guess it's not a problem. It's a good problem to have, but potentially you could have a campaign that is really successful, and then you could probably have it be even more successful by opening up more early bird tiers. And that's something that we're experimenting with. We'll probably do a early bird slash time limited, an early bird in terms of limiting the numbers, as well as a time limited early bird. So it's both limited by the numbers, which is the standard early bird way, and then it's also limited by time, because that way we can we can have a lot of spaces in our early bird tier, but they won't sort of drag the campaign down during its middle section. And this was suggested by Lobster Sundew on our forums, who's super Kickstarter expert. So I think it'll be an interesting thing to do. And another thing also suggested by Lobster is that we're having an early bird that's more targeting our existing community. and sometimes the early bird tiers for the larger rewards can seem a little weird. Like, just if they pick a random tier and say, hey, here's, X for early bird, especially if they don't do the early bird for just the game, right? Because most people just want the game, and so an early bird at just the game price is, an early bird discount on just the game price is going to be big. And also I think it sort of rewards Kickstarter backers for taking a risk. Now, certainly I wouldn't say that Devastated Dreams is a risky project in that we've shown we can deliver on Kickstarter. We've done a Kickstarter, we know everything entailed and how much work that is and all that stuff. So I wouldn't say our project is particularly risky, but, there are some projects that are, and so giving some people the discount on Kickstarter is beneficial, I think, to them, because, Kickstarter is not about pre-ordering, and I think people who approach it from that mindset are more liable to be disappointed with their projects. I mean, to me, it's about collaboration, working with fans and creating something great that I couldn't create on my own. And certainly I've talked a lot about that and how I feel the backers are part of the development team, and that's all very important to me. But basically, and sort of actually, because backers are really important to me and part of the development team, we're interested in offering a early bird tier that's mostly targeted for returning backers. And I think right now the thought is that it's a $25 tier, and it includes the game, the soundtrack, and alpha access, not just beta access. And to me, alpha access is really special and something that I'd like to get the community, even more involved with. Now, if you weren't part of the alpha access or you didn't, play the alpha builds, a lot of people got access to the alpha builds and then didn't play them, or at least, didn't post on them, fill out surveys or post on the forums. But the alpha builds are really my way of getting the game and, in different stages of development to the backers and getting their thoughts. And those thoughts really do shape the game. And I guess, I'm a bit of a stickler for this. I don't think people really care as much anymore. But it's not truly an alpha build. Basically, we take each level up to sort of an alpha quality, and then we put it out there, and then based on the feedback of the community, we change the level and fix it. So, there's big updates to the alpha builds basically every 2 months, or sometimes every month, or month and a half, and those have a brand new level and all sorts of new features. And then I think sometimes we do hot fixes, like in particular for Never-Ending Nightmares, I had this brilliant in quotation fingers idea for how the tormented Gabby, young Gabby with the giant blade would work, and very few. It took a lot of people a lot of time to figure out how the behavior worked, because it was kind of non-intuitive. And so I worked really closely with the community, and they were really helpful in terms of recording their playthroughs and talking about what they were doing and thinking when they were playing it. And then from that, I was able to change it. So there was basically like one condition to make the tormented Gabby go away in the original build, and now what we shipped with had like 4 or 5 different conditions, all based around what people tried and didn't work. So basically, it's sort of like having a puzzle with multiple solutions. You figure out how people think it's supposed to work, and then you make it work that way. And that's something that I really couldn't have done without the alpha backer community. And so we definitely want to get more people in that community, so we're going to do an early bird discount on it. But also, we really want that momentum to help our project gain more backers and more excitement, because to me the larger the Kickstarter community is, the better, and I lean pretty heavily on my community and keep them involved, and they keep me in check. I think of them as producers, so definitely the bigger community, I think the better game we can make. So yeah, that's a little bit of a segue from my original idea of talking about Kickstarter momentum, but it is really important to build that momentum initially if you want to see your project succeed, because people jump on a successful project much more so than a struggling one. So anyway, thanks for watching.